Hello interwebs, welcome to Let's Fix Computers. I didn't have a really good video lined up for this week, which is why this one is a day or so late. However, I did have two videos, which on their own I was like, oh, I don't know if I'm going to bother with this one. But I thought what I'd do is I'd put them together. So here are two easy fixes for you. Enjoy! Hello interwebs, welcome to Let's Fix Computers. I've got a Dell Inspiron... Oh, that's very awkward. That's fine, I'll blur that out. With the customer's name written on the back of it. I've got a Dell Inspiron, this is a 14-inch... No, it's a 13-inch something or other. And it does not power on. So this laptop came in with a third-party charger. So basically, if you ever see a charger like this, where it's just a really lightweight plastic box with just AC adapter written on the back, these are trash, don't use them. So let's plug this in and just confirm that nothing happens first of all. Bam. So plug the charger in and we have no light on the laptop. So at this point, I got very sanctimonious with the customer. I was just like, no, you shouldn't use these crap Chinese chargers. Yada, yada, yada. Now I'll use my genuine Dell charger on it, and I bet it'll work. So let's plug in my genuine Dell charger and see what happens. So as you can see, when I plug this one in... Oh. Wait, that doesn't work either. So the laptop is actually broken, and I very sheepishly took the customer's details and said, I'll take a look at it. However, still, don't use these chargers, they're crap. This is like the first time ever where I've taken out my genuine charger, only to find that the laptop is actually the problem and not one of these pieces of trash. I'm going to unplug this now because I genuinely don't like having these plugged in my shop. That's how much I distrust them. I'm not a paranoid person. Except when it's one of these things. Alright, so let's take the back cover off and let's see how far the power is getting in this thing and see if we can figure out what's going on. Right, it's a bit dusty in here, but that's okay. So, our DC jack is here, and it comes in under... I'll go straight in there. Very, very short lead on there. The hinge has a big old bracer that leans across to there, which is good. This laptop actually has some nice big arms to lean out a bit more. This helps prevent this part of the hinge from breaking. How effective it is, I don't know, but again, it's good to see brands actually at least trying to brace these a bit better. So that's a thing. What's that? There's our SSD with some weird choice of a thermal pad underneath it. Okay, sure. Let's disconnect the battery. I might just take the battery out just because the connector is right up against the battery and very difficult to remove. Battery removed, 45 watt hours. And I'm going to bring this hinge up so I can peel things back a little bit and get access to the back of the DC jack. And we'll take a couple of measurements and just see what's going on back there. What's that? That's just a little cover to stop these wires from coming off. Never seen that happen myself, but presumably they feel it's necessary. There we go. Right, we'll put that to one side. Let's come in a little bit closer and we'll just find out if there's power getting anywhere. Right, so let's start out with my black probe on any ground point. So I'll just pick this HDMI port. And let's just do a bit of poking around here. So you can see already... you can see already there's a trace coming across here and a trace coming back here. And then we've got a capacitor just across the DC jack. So we've got one of these sides is positive, the other is negative, and we've got some sense and or data pins in the middle. If we just push this back a bit, we might be able to take a look. That looks black. And there's a splash of red down there. So these top ones will be ground. And there is 0.6 ohms to ground, no problem. And these ones here, right, and that's very slowly settling up in the 200 kilo ohms range. So there's no short across the DC jack. So let's just have a quick check. Let's see, we've got a big old fuse there. Let's just see if there's anything going on there. Kilo ohms to mega ohms. Yep, okay. So I think... Right, and if you look very closely down there, can you see those dots? Let me give you a big old close-up. This is important because this is how we can start getting information before we've even taken the motherboard out of the board. What we're trying to do here is we're trying to learn about this board having never seen it before and just get a rough idea on how it might be laid out. So if you look down here, can you see these dots here, here and here? It's a little bit dark in there, but you can see those dots. Those are vias, so VIA. Those are vias going through the board. So that tells us that everything interesting going on here is going to be on the other side of the board. I'm very conscious of the fact that I've got a bend on the end of my multimeter probe here. I need new probes. Anyway, we can take some measurements here to see if power is actually getting into the laptop, but it looks like we're probably going to need to take the board out to actually discover anything interesting. So is there anything more I can learn without actually taking the board out, just to see roughly what we're running into here? Well, we could check the main power rail. So if I go back to my black probe on ground, over here we've got CPU V-core, so we've got inductors and stuff that are going into the CPU. There's a big old capacitor there. This is almost certainly going to be on the main power rail feeding into CPU V-core. So I'm just going to check the resistance over there. Uh-oh. Mega ohms. Alright, well, there's no short circuit there. So I say uh-oh, but that's actually a normal condition. I'm saying uh-oh because it means it's not an easy one. Potentially. Very well. Okay, I'm going to plug in a charger. And let's just check that power is actually entering the laptop. The DC jack doesn't feel very convincing when I plug something into it. If this just ends up being a bad DC jack, I'm going to feel rather foolish, if I'm honest. Oh, I don't believe it. I think this is just a heckin' bad DC jack. Yeah, it is. This is a bad DC jack. If I stick my multimeter across the jack itself, just onto the inside of the jack there, there's 19.6 volts coming out of that guy. For a minute, I wondered if a fault in the laptop was causing it not to sense the charger, and then perhaps the charger was not outputting 19 volts until the sense pin negotiated. Nope, there's 19 volts coming down here. This is just a bad DC jack, and I'm getting punked. Well, it looks okay. Apart from being a bit dusty, but like I said, that was a pretty loose connection in there. So I guess that's going to be our issue. Oh well. Right, it's been a couple of days and I went and got myself a haircut. I also went and got a replacement DC jack for this laptop. And I've actually already fitted that there. It was very simple. It was just a matter of take this little bracket off there, screw, take that screw out and bend the hinge up, DC jack. It's not rocket science. I was actually going to throw this video out, however, there was a last couple of bits that made me change my mind. So firstly, this is a really good example on the just because you've got a laptop that seems to not work even with a known good charger, it doesn't mean you have a serious board fault. Especially if you've been watching channels like mine where we're dealing with short circuits and stuff like that, it's really easy to just assume you have a serious fault when actually you might have something that is comically easy to fix. So don't forget your fundamentals, and if you're learning laptop repair, again, don't panic just because you have a laptop that appears to be stone dead. It might be this easy. So replacement DC jack on eBay cost a couple of quid, no problem at all. But there was one last issue. If I plug in this really tat charger that I was talking about at the start of the video, let's see what happens. So if we plug that in, the light on the charger comes on. So you think, cool, we win, right? But then it goes out. And if I press the power button, it comes on. The fan has started spinning. It's going to make it, yeah, there we go. And then it died again. And at that point, I was like, oh no, is it actually a serious fault after all? So I thought, one more time, let's just plug in my Dell charger. So we'll plug that in. Power it back on again. And now we have an actual boot. So after all of that, the tat charger was still tat. So now I get to be really smug and say I told you so, because it was the charger. I mean, yes, it also needed a new DC jack, but that just goes to show you that no matter how blindly convinced someone might be that the charger is not the problem, always double check. Anyway, that's it. This is going to be a short video because this is just as simple as a new DC jack, but again, it's good demonstration of the kind of stuff that you will see out there in the field in real life. It's not always complicated, but sometimes it will catch you out. Thanks for watching, everyone. As always, support links are down below, and I shall see you in the next video. Bye. Hello interwebs, welcome to Let's Fix Computers. I've got an old Packard Bell here. This is an EasyNote TJ74 that does not post. So today we're going to run through the procedure on how to approach a laptop that does not post. I'm going to try and cover all the usual things that you can check for. Hopefully this one will go reasonably far into the process before we get a success out of it, just so I can show you as much as possible. So firstly, what is a no post? So post is power on self-test, and that is the first thing that a computer is going to do when you turn it on. So a no post implies that the computer has switched on. The lights are on, the fans are on, but nothing is coming up on the display at all. Like the display is not, perhaps the display is not even initializing. There's no signal, nothing at all. So let's test that out on this one. So I'll plug in the charger, press the power button, and what I'm going to be looking for is firstly, what are the lights doing? Am I getting any other indicators? Am I seeing anything on the screen? So we've got a charge light here, and if I push the power button, we have a power light. So we've got a power light. I'm looking for any other indicators up here, any other things like caps lock, which is in this case is here, any other LEDs that just give me signs of life, something to let me know that the laptop is actually thinking, doing something. However, it appears on this one that I've got nothing else at all. The screen is black and it has not initialized. So by initialized, what I mean is when the screen is going to come on, you will see it change shade slightly. Typically, it will become a slightly lighter shade of black because the backlight has switched on. But in this case, we're seeing a very just reflected black. It's black because it's off. So nothing at all. So look out for very subtle changes in the brightness of the screen that might tell you that the screen has come on at least. That gives you something. So this thing is not doing anything. And if I tap the caps lock light, there's no response to that either. Right, so it doesn't work. Let's turn it off. So I'm holding down the power button. And it has responded to that. It's switched off. If it's not responding to the power button at all, that's more information. the first thing I'm going to do, we're going to take the battery out, and then we're going to open it up, and with no battery and no charger, I'm just going to hold the power button in for 10 seconds. Now, this very rarely works, if I'm honest, but it's always worth a try, because if it does work, then obviously it's really easy to do. If it's a modern laptop, it probably has a built-in battery, in which case this isn't going to work. You can also look for some laptops on the bottom will have a little reset pinhole that you can poke a pin into. Some of them won't. So that's that. I'm going to leave the battery out, and I'm just going to plug in the charger. And the reason why I'm doing that is it just means that I can switch off the laptop just by pulling the charger out now. So, charger is plugged in. We're not getting any lights on the front of the laptop, but if I push the power button, the power light comes on. So, there's no charge light because there's no battery. And again, I'm looking for any changes in the screen. Caps lock. Nothing. Alright, so we're still nowhere. Has the cooling fan come on? So the cooling fan isn't running. But also, this laptop should have a hard drive in it. And I don't hear a hard drive spinning. That's a very quiet hard drive if it is in there. So the fact that the hard drive isn't coming on either actually leads me to believe that we may have an electrical fault or a BIOS fault after all. So that changes the dynamic of this video significantly. Let's keep going anyway, just in case. So I've got some access panels on the bottom of this. I'm going to open those up and we're going to take the memory out. This video was intended to be a here's how to diagnose a no post. However, I think this is rapidly turning into a more complicated repair, which doesn't fit that criteria at all. So I'm going to drop the super basic stuff very quickly. Oh, that's interesting. Okay. There's no hard drive fitted, which is why we couldn't hear a spinning hard drive. So that's fine. Okay, that's all right. Okay, so in that case, I'm going to start looking for a couple of things. Firstly, we're going to reseat the memory. So I'll take the memory out. And I'm also looking for any kind of BIOS reset that we might have. I'm looking to see if the BIOS battery is accessible on this one, which seems to be a no. There's no visible reset jumpers anywhere, and there's no visible battery anywhere. So we're going to have to open this thing up if we want to find out what's going on there. So this thing should be DDR3, I assume. Oh, gross, it's DDR2. Okay. I think this laptop is going to be a waste of time, but I'm going to keep looking at it for science's sake. A couple of the laptops I've done recently, lots of people have been like, sort of, oh man, that was barely worth it. I'm like, no, it wasn't worth it, but it's good for a learning video. So we'll try and fix it anyway, because old stuff is really good to learn on. Okay, let's stick in a single memory module. What's this one? Is that a 2 gig? That's a 2 gigabyte. So it's got 3 gigabytes of RAM all in all. Lovely. All right, let's see what it does. Power. Ah, I've got fans now. Still nothing coming up on the display. Okay. Power off. Let's try it with no memory in it, just to see if we get any kind of response out of that. Obviously, it can't start with no memory, but if we get a no memory beep or something like that, that's something. Nope. Alright, still nothing. One more try. I'm going to try the other memory module in the top slot. Then if this doesn't work, we're going to open it up and we're going to find that BIOS battery so we can do a BIOS reset. Nope, still nothing. Fine. Okay, so now we're going to go for a BIOS reset. So we've got to find the BIOS battery in here. So I'm going to start taking this thing apart now. And we've got to keep disassembling until we find that BIOS battery. So I'm going to take out all the screws on the bottom. On this laptop, I'm going to need to take off the keyboard as well. And then I think we may even have to lift the whole motherboard out. But let's just let's start disassembling and we'll see how far we need to go. Ooh, it's an old one with a keyboard strip. Oh god, do I need to take off the display assembly? Oh, and all of those hinges look broken. All the screws are hanging out, or both. Gross. Alright. Let's keep going. Alright, well the good news is I'm rewarded with just a CR2032 there, so let's pop that guy out. And we'll check the voltage. Lots of people will be like, oh, you have to check the voltage in circuit. Yes, I agree, you should check the voltage in circuit. However, if I put the multimeter on it now and it reads 0, we'll also know it's flat, so... It's 0. So this flat RTC battery is probably our issue. While some laptops and most desktop computers will quite happily run with a dead RTC battery, just obviously the clock won't work. There are laptops where this guy does actually power up critical systems that are required for the RTC circuit to work, and will not get their power from the battery or the charger if available. Therefore, the laptop won't work if this battery is flat. So let's we'll stick a new one in it, and I think that's probably going to be our issue. There we go. I'm going to tighten down all the other screws while I'm here because everything was loose on this laptop as I took it apart. Alright, I think that's actually pretty good. Just seem to be all the structural screws, the ones that actually matter. Right, I've just quickly plugged in all the important connectors from the screen, and without bothering with the keyboard, I'm going to... Oh, we better stick a memory module in there. I'll put a memory module in there and I'll just turn it on and just see if we get a picture. Because if we don't get a picture, it's all coming apart again. So I don't really want to put all the screws back in right now before I know that it's going to work. Right. Power in. Power button. Power lights. There we go. And it's off again. So just as simple as a flat RTC battery. Let's reassemble this thing properly. So I would say that this is an easy one to learn from. Honestly, this laptop is kind of old. But then on the flip side, I do see in my Discord people working on old stuff reasonably often. And, you know, in some parts of the world, people are not running new computers. So maybe this will be useful. If nothing else, I have also seen modern laptops like modern Dell XPS gaming laptops, where the RTC battery has just inexplicably gone flat. So this does show you that sometimes it really is that simple. Even if the battery hasn't gone flat, just taking it out and putting it back in again might be all you need to get the system up and running again. So, cool. I'm going to go into fast forward now. Alright, and there we go. There's our BIOS prompt. Well, it's looking for a network boot because there's no hard drive now. However, that's a fully functioning laptop. So I'll give this thing a clean up, give it back to the customer, and they can do as they please with it. Anyway, that's all I got for you today. Thank you very much, everyone. I'll see you next time. Bye for now.